You're listening to season one of the Purple Elephant Podcast. I am your host, Janora Ledbetter, also known as the Elephant Whisperer. As a leader, author, and consultant, I am dedicated to fostering long term sustainable change by centering equity within organizations. This podcast is a space where equity and inclusion meet actionable insights, transformative conversations, and tools to create enduring change in organizations and communities. Welcome to today's episode where we are honoring the past, shaping the future, talking about the importance of Black History Month, and talking about breaking down barriers so that we can get to change. As we find ourselves in February, it is important to honor and reflect on Black History Month. Black History Month is a time dedicated to celebrating the achievements, the contributions, and the rich cultural heritage of Black individuals throughout history. I want to talk a little bit about how Black History Month began. Black History Month began as Negro History Week. It started in 1926. It was founded by historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Dr. Woodson recognized that African Americans' contributions were often overlooked or misrepresented in history, and he selected the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, both pivotal figures in Black history. In 1976, during the United States bicentennial, the celebration expanded to Black History Month, thanks to the efforts of Black educators and the growing awareness from the civil rights movement. So today, Black History Month, it serves not only as a reminder of the struggles and the resilience of Black communities, but also as a call to action. It's about honoring the past while actively working to dismantle systemic barriers that persist. And understanding Black history is really important. It's crucial because it shapes narratives, and narratives influence power dynamics. By uplifting stories that have been hidden or erased, we create space for truth, healing, and a more inclusive future. And it's not just about looking back, it's about understanding how history informs our present and our future. And I want to talk about a topic that aligns closely both with the spirit of Black History Month and the mission of the Purple Elephant podcast. And that is going through a breakdown to get to the breakthrough. So I always say I love it when I'm going through a breakdown because I know that the breakthrough is going to be absolutely amazing. And when I have my breakthroughs, that is when I am the most creative and I am able to create wonderful things for my business. Able to create amazing products and services for my clients. And I'm so inspired and so passionate. I am my most authentic, genuine self. But going through the breakdown is never fun, right? So when we're going through the breakdown, we are feeling uncomfortable, we're feeling tension, we're feeling confusion. And a lot of times, it's just human nature for us not to want to feel uncomfortable. So what do? We run away from it. But what happens is that if you run away from those breakdowns, what you're doing is you are risking not having a breakthrough. And so, change, whether it's change within an organization or change within society, it doesn't come easily. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths, unlearning harmful patterns, and pushing through resistance. Often, breakdowns precede breakthroughs. And that tension and that discomfort, they are signaling that transformation is possible. And so barriers to change can manifest in various forms. They can manifest in institutional resistance, which are systems that are designed to maintain the status quo, which can manifest as policies and practices or cultural norms that resist equity focused efforts. It can also show up in personal biases, both conscious and unconscious, that are shaping decisions and behaviors and leadership styles. It can show up as the fear of the unknown because change can be frightening, but people fear losing power. They fear losing relevance. They even fear losing their sense of identity when old structures are challenged. And it can show up in tokenism versus true inclusion. Because sometimes organizations focus on surface level diversity efforts without addressing the deeper structural issues that perpetuate inequity. And recognizing these barriers is the first step. The next step involves doing the work, asking hard questions, listening to marginalized voices, and creating actionable strategies that are rooted in equity. So I want you to ask yourself two questions. First question: what barriers to change exist in your organization or community? Second question: where have you seen breakdowns that could lead to breakthroughs if approached with courage and intention? So I'm going to answer these questions as well. In the broader community, the current political climate adds another layer of complexity in an already complex world. Conversations around equity can quickly become polarized, making it hard to find common ground. Despite these barriers, I've learned that building authentic relationships, focusing on data driven strategies, and creating spaces for honest dialogue can slowly chip away at that resistance. Change isn't easy, but when it's grounded in purpose and clarity, it becomes possible. And I've seen breakdowns within organizations when leadership struggle to address issues of bias and power dynamics and lack of accountability. And these moments often create tension and disengagement, burnt out among staff. But I believe that these breakdowns hold the potential for powerful breakthroughs if approached with courage and intention. When leaders are willing to face discomfort and admit where things aren't working and truly listen to the voices that are often overlooked, it opens the door for transformational change. And I've witnessed how honest conversations about equity, when rooted in vulnerability rather than defensiveness, can shift an organization's culture. It's in those raw, uncomfortable spaces where real growth happens. When people stop trying to fix the symptoms and they start addressing the root causes. And that's where breakthroughs live. And in recent times, particularly during this current political era, we have witnessed significant shifts in how diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are perceived and how they're going to be implemented. Now, I'm a big believer that history always repeats itself. I'm also a big believer that the pendulum will swing one way and it will swing back. So I truly believe that we are in this monumental time in history. Not a lot of us signed up for it, but this is where we are. And the Trump administration has taken steps to dismantle DE&I programs within federal agencies, viewing them as counterproductive. But let's just discuss the elephant in the room here. What people are not saying is the truth is that people love racism. That's what DE&I is all about. The whole dismantling of DE&I is, let's bring it back to a time where racism was alive and well, right? And so these executive orders that are aimed at ending DE&I initiatives and promoting a return to merit-based employment and promotions is honestly ridiculous because we know that marginalized individuals have never been able to be chosen based off of their merit because of their color of their skin. And so these actions have profound implications for how we now, as a society, are observing Black History Month and how we honor the contributions of Black Americans. For instance, the Department of Defense declared identity months as dead, indicating that resources would no longer be used to mark cultural awareness months like Black History Month. And some of these measures have sparked debates about the role of DE&I in both public and private sectors. And so the critics out there are arguing that eliminating these programs could reverse decades of progress in promoting equal employment opportunities and addressing systemic discrimination, which is true. Supporters, however, believe that focusing solely on merit based systems ensure fairness and efficiency. My question is, how do we focus on merit based systems when we still have so much systemic inequities within this world? So, you know, in this climate, it's important than ever to reflect on the significance of Black History Month. It's not just a time to look back, it's a time to assess the present and strategize for a more inclusive future. Honoring Black history becomes an act of resilience and a commitment to ensuring that the contributions and experiences of Black individuals are recognized and valued, even amidst political challenges. And so, as we navigate these complex times, it's really important to identify strategies that promote sustainable change within our organizations and our communities. And so, some actionable steps that I think people can take right now, especially organizations, is education. We're in this situation because a lot of people were not educated on our history. They were not educated on what happened in the past because the past always comes back around. So if we had educated or people had educated themselves on what happened before when we had tariffs years ago, what happened before, when people started trying to get rid of diversity and equity and inclusion and stuff, history will show the world almost fell apart. And so it's important to continuously educate yourself and to educate others about the histories and contributions of marginalized communities. Also, examine your existing policies within your organization to identify and address systemic barriers. You want to ensure that these policies are promoting equity and inclusion. You want to promote leadership that is going to value diverse perspectives and that's going to encourage open dialogue because leaders, they set the tone for organizational culture. And right now, leaders, your employees are looking at you to help guide them in this extremely divisive and complicated time. It's also important that you engage with the communities that you're serving to understand their needs and their perspectives. And this ensures that initiatives are relevant and that they are impactful. And lastly, you want to establish clear metrics to assess progress in past, present, and future DE&I initiatives. Hold individuals and organizations accountable for meeting these goals. And by implementing these strategies, you can work towards creating environments where everyone, I say everyone, so I mean that where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute. So I want to thank you for joining me today on the Purple Elephant podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, please subscribe. Thank you and have a wonderful day.